Hello, everybody, and welcome to Today in Space. I am, as always, your space science podcast host from the East Coast, Alex Giorfanos, and we're here to talk about the latest Moonbase update. We went live for NASA's Moonbase update, share a bit of that, watch the full thing with the link in the description. But we also, as of last night, had a huge, devastating event related to these Moonbase missions and just the Artemis program and architecture altogether. Unfortunately, at 9 p.m., strangely exactly at 9 p.m. Eastern time in Florida, the New Glenn No It's Necessary rocket blew up on the pad preparing for static fire test. Nobody was harmed. We're going to get into my thoughts on that in a little bit, what that means for the people working on this, the teams, and what to expect moving forward. And we'll close out with what was NASA's plan at the beginning of this week, and we'll see how that changes. Whatever was discussed here could change. Thank you for being here. Let's dive into Today in Space as the Space Conundrum Part 2 continues with chaos.
Welcome to Today in Space.
All right, folks, thank you for joining us. This New Glenn Blue Origin pad anomaly is going to throw things back. Losing a rocket is always bad. And the good news out of this is that the rocket did not yet have the payload on board. And Amazon, the other Jeff Bezos company, was sending one of their first big batches of satellites for Amazon Leo on this rocket. It had not gone on top of the rocket yet. So in a lot of ways, a big disaster was avoided for Amazon. We saw with SpaceX that happened with one of Facebook's satellites, one of Meta's satellites. Might have been Facebook still back then. But this was early in SpaceX's career. It blew up right on the pad. They lost the payload as well there. And in recent space history that SpaceX recovered after that pad explosion, they put in a lot of new procedures that help them figure out operational, consistent rocket launches for the first time in human history with their reusable rockets, and they got out of this. Unfortunately, here at this pad, multiple towers went down. It looks like the damage is still being calculated. We're still not 100% sure what happened, but that pad is going to take a lot of work to fix. SpaceX has had a lot of pad-related stuff with Starship that has definitely delayed things. Pad 2 seemed to be great, but it's also why SpaceX is not just trying for a catch right away with a new Starship rocket. Our next episode will be covering Flight Test 12, which was amazing. So there's signs that Blue Origin has a way out. They're going to get through this. From an engineer's perspective, it is a rough day. There's going to be a lot of drinking going on this weekend. And I know there's a lot of SpaceX people in the industry that were there at the time when SpaceX had two anomalies, one that was going to orbit, one that was on the pad. And those two anomalies definitely slowed things down for SpaceX. I hope that those veterans of the space industry reach out to their Blue Origin colleagues, because the crossing over of employees happens a lot these days. And so I hope they share their wisdom, their fellow space adventurers over at Blue Origin. There was a pretty heavy rivalry for a while, and I think rivalry is good when there's competition involved. Now that NASA is really leading the charge and has put together the Artemis program, now we're all in this together as the American space program. There was a lot of good pleasantries sent back and forth, but let's show a little bit of, because I just keep watching here on loop, I might as well bring you guys into this. Here is the view from the first one that I saw. This was NASA Space Flight, had their camera on at exactly 9 p.m. You can see here, it looks like there are some explosions down by the engine area at the bottom, and then the methane fuel just catches fire, and a giant plume of fire and smoke at the pad. Now, you could see the pressure wave from the explosion. But the strange thing to me here is just the cascading ignition leading up to that explosion. Makes you wonder what happened, but I mean, just from that alone, you can see how much power was behind that. And, as Eric Berger states here, it completely takes Blue Origin out of the Artemis picture for the next 12 months. All the moon-based missions that were relying on Blue Moon lander, the question is, are they going to get another launcher to send the lander, right? Are they going to work with SpaceX on a Falcon Heavy mission so that NASA can still provide what they need just because Blue Origin needs to fix that pad. There is hope in the Blue Origin aspect here, where they were already working on another pad because they were conscious about getting the launch cadence up. The question now is how much time and effort is going to take to fix this pad versus finishing the other pad first. I think that might be the best option. And there's also, again, this is all completely brand new, and by next week we may know more. But at this time, it seems like it also may be the right time for them to upgrade. If it was an engine issue, if there was something about this version of New Glenn, it may be worth them just moving, not building any more of these and moving right to the next version, because they'll be able to look at preventing this type of thing in the future. And that bigger rocket actually may be not only better for launching things into space, but it may be better for a lot of things with all the upgrades. So, as you'll see in the podcast, the PC is no longer next to me. That PC is now dedicated to our Chat 3DP AI system. So if you want to learn more about the 3D printing AI that we're building based on my first book, the book of Uncommon Sense 3D printing. As you can see, I have not cut my hair or shaved my beard since I did a little trimming so I can look presentable here for the podcast. I'm almost done with that. I have been spending almost every waking moment working on those two things, primarily on the book because that needs to get released first and then the AI. But the PC, found out the new GPU, the new graphics card that I put into my PC to be able to handle all the needs with RAM that Chat3DP is going to need for our customers. It was too heavy for the board sitting up. So the board was actually tilting over time. It was heating up, and that was actually disconnecting the drive on board that's underneath that on the board. We just had to do some troubleshooting, ended up putting it on its back, and now it's running without issues, knock on wood. But we do have a big backup running consistently now. We've learned a lot. We've learned a lot in the last few days. But if you want to learn more about that and be in touch with our weekly newsletter on Tuesdays, every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. That's our Tech Tuesday newsletter for Chat 3DP. Go to chat3dp.ai, sign up for that free newsletter, and then you'll also get updates there. But if you're just interested in my first book, which why wouldn't you be? No, it's been crazy. I'm definitely looking forward to doing some episodes talking about the adventure of drawing, of not only drawing the artwork for that book, but also the writing process has been very interesting. Excited to get this done so we can move on to the next phase. If you want updates about the book, go to ag3dlabs.com/book to sign up for that newsletter only. The hard work of finding root cause analysis began last night at 9:01 p.m. Eastern Time for the Blue Origin team, and I wish them luck trying to figure out what happened there. You know, if you see this spaceflight now capture from another angle, you can see the second stage fall, the rocket fall, and then explode. It's really tough watching this. The amount of work, and as for me as an engineer, knowing being an engineer is such a brutal career because you're a scientist, but you're also a problem solver. And in cases like this, you've got to solve your your own problem that happened, right? You've got to figure out what happened so that you don't ever have to figure this out. This is where putting in a system in place. This is what engineers do extremely well. It's why commercial air traffic is so routine now, is because systems were put in place, redundancies to prevent disasters from happening. And in this case, we're going to see how Blue Origin figures out the next thing. But seeing this happen at the pad means that those engineers were already ramping up for a very hard year, right? Ramping up cadence, getting these launches to the pad more often. Now they have to, while still working in that direction, now they've got to step back and figure out how they messed up or how something went wrong. So there's going to be a lot of I'm sure, some time this weekend for them to, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Let loose, get through the emotion of this event and what it means, and then dial back in and get ready to level up, because that's what they need to do, and it's been done before. So again, we said SpaceX has done this before. So, for me, there's this video here where you actually see the wobble. This is by Scott Liked SLS. You can see the tower wobble, and that is a structural industrial tower meant for, I believe in this case, is for lightning strikes. To see that thing wobble, and then how fast the shockwave goes through, that was an insane explosion. So I wanted to share that. One of the things, after reading Eric Berger's article, which I highly recommend, it'll be in this week's episode, even with all this devastation, there's a path forward for Team Blue, and the payload was not on board. That is very important. Silver linings, as Eric put. Thanks for the rapid reporting, sir. Here's where Eric was reporting that the 9x4 variant of New Glenn, after the failure, may be the right move to go. They need to do root cause analysis before they can decide that. Here's another video showing the extent of the fireball. I mean, it became a meme, just like the last one did. Again, you saw that shockwave. This is from John CN on X. These are just cameras that are typically on outside. I mean, look at that fireball. That is a non-nuclear mushroom cloud in Florida. Another thing, we will see how this goes, but there was someone who did mention New Glenn has yet to explode, and it looks like Toby Lee, someone in the space community, has taken that in for evidence. So here's just the scene from one of the bars nearby, right? You can see how that explosion affected the people in Florida. This dude just waking up, it was 9 p.m., right? So he's just like, this is, I'm not going to play the audio, but the audio's, as you'd expect, lots of swearing. And I mean, if you saw that, you would think that someone just bombed Florida. And if you're a Florida resident by the Space Coast, you also know that you've got rockets with chemical propellant that's actually not good for you. So you've got to wonder, do I need to get out of here so we get out of the gas cloud? I mean, it must have been an insane night for the people in Florida. But I just wanted to share that update. Again, we still have no idea what the root cause was. The latest thing is that the engine area is where this started. So I will leave us here for that, and we will jump into a portion of the NASA broadcast. Carlos Galan is going to the Lunar Viceroy, the head of the Lunar Moon Base architecture, discusses the moon mission and the people that got those contracts. And again, Blue Origin was just chosen to launch many of these missions to the moon. So, what will happen? Will there be a delay? Will the other space contractors like SpaceX and others work together to get some of these launches out on time so that Blue Origin has the time to rebuild the pad, rebuild the rockets? Or will the awards go to somebody else? Will Congress increase the budget for NASA in order for them to accomplish this? There's so much involved that we still yet to know. But let's end on a positive note that started this week on the ambitious plans of where things are going to the moon. And we'll find out very soon what the reality is for these launch contracts and if the mission timeline extends. But next episode, before the end of the month, we will have the Starship Flight 12 recap. There was 2 launches to scrub the first time, but this next episode will be from the second broadcast, trimmed down in case you missed it, so we can talk about Flight 12. It's an exciting launch. It's definitely positive, and just another example of just how hard space exploration can be and how the demands of a lunar campaign, having higher flight cadences, is pushing everyone in the industry to fly smarter, test harder, and in some cases, put in more systems so that they can do so safely. So, as we push to the edges of the extreme and to the unknown, even in the aerospace industry and the space launch community, we're gonna have challenges, and that's okay. Engineers are problem solvers. We're the ones that go in and fix things, especially when they break. So good luck to all the engineers and the teams at Team Blue, and let's enjoy a little recap of NASA's moon base plans. Stay curious. Thanks for being here. Spread love and spread science. We'll see you next time. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Today in Space. We are here waiting to find out what's coming up with NASA's moon base. We're getting an update today. And yeah, I hope it's good space news. Moon news. It seems so. So we'll find out. Here we go. I want to be doing some work in the background, so I'm listening just like you.
Good afternoon.
Ask your questions.
And welcome to NASA headquarters
in
Washington, D.C. Thanks for everyone who's tuning in online. Also from industry, from our NASA centers, from classrooms, and really those all across the country. Many that are watching are from the interested public. They are excited about the moon base, the latest status, what comes next, and how this grand return to the lunar surface will begin. Now, Moonbase 1 will be the first privately funded lunar lander mission in history. The Blue Origin Mark I Endurance lander will deliver multiple payloads to the Shackleton Connecting Ridge, a strategic area of the lunar South Pole.
That's big.
In addition to flying 2 NASA science payloads, SCALPs, a lunar retroreflector array, the mission objective is to demonstrate critical capabilities that reduce risk for the human landing system missions. On that note, every mission in support of the lunar base helps us learn and de-risk crewed missions, but this one is especially important because of the role Blue Origin plays in the Artemis program. Mm-hmm. The target no earlier than launch date is the fall of 2026. Though in this moon base endeavor, we certainly hope to be breaking records on nearly every mission. The Astrobotic Griffin lander will carry more than 500 kilograms of cargo, including Astrolab's FLIP rover, to the lunar surface.
That's
this
pretty.
mission will help mature the capabilities necessary to support future lunar terrain vehicles, autonomous operations, logistics, and especially the LTV astronaut mobility.
Create a future where exploration is not just an incredible moment in history, but the first foothold beyond Earth for all of humanity. So with that, thank you, and it is my pleasure to hand over to our Moonbase Program Executive, Carlos Garcia-Galan, to take you through the next steps in building the Moonbase.
Yes. Welcome, the Lunar Viceroy. The first ever Lunar Viceroy.
Good afternoon, everybody. So as the administrator and Lori alluded, we have been busy since Ignition Day.
Let's go, Carlos.
We have been working to align all the agency resources across NASA to basically deliver on this objective of building a moon base. We've been establishing the architecture and the strategy to enable it. We've been reviewing your inputs and your ideas through the RFI for moon base capabilities. We have been visiting industry and going to centers across NASA to, number one, share the vision and talk about it, get your ideas, and also see what capabilities are out there that we can use as tools to develop this. We have also been working on the solicitations that we projected and broadcasted during Ignition Day, which is what we're going to talk about today. You go to the next chart. I'm going to give you a little bit of an outline of the things that we're going to be doing today. First, we're going to start where we left off, talking a little bit about the phase objectives and the assets that we're going to be talking about and discussing milestones for. Then we're going to talk about key phase 1 milestones with awards for landers and lunar terrain vehicles and moonfall carrier spacecraft.
Yes.
And then we're going to talk about what's in the lunar horizon in the short months ahead. So let's get started. This is a chart that kind of describes the vision that we delivered during Ignition Day. We envision the moon base to be hundreds of square miles with different assets, all building up to the objective of permanent lunar presence on the moon. To get there, we're going to break it up in phases, and phase 1 has already started. From now through 29, we're going to work to make sure that getting to the lunar surface is a high reliability endeavor. Many assets we can deliver there. We're also going to test and experiments, the science of survival, as the administrator said. We're going to experiment on the things that we know are ahead of us that we're going to need to build a permanent infrastructure, which is happening on phase 2, and then permanent habitation on phase 3. To do this, we're building and working on many different systems, from transportation to mobility, and we've broadcasted a pretty high cadence of missions that will help us to get there. Phase 1, for example, will have 25 launches, 21 landings, and we're planning to deliver about 4 metric tons of cargo to the surface of the moon. And we want to graduate from that to 60 metric tons to 150 by the time we get to phase 3. If you go to the next chart.
That's insane.
When you think about the lunar surface and the endeavor of building a moon base, is going to be extremely hard. And it dawns on us every day how little we know of the lunar surface. We did the Apollo program. We've had lunar probe. We've had, spacecraft, robotic spacecraft that have gone back to the moon, but we have explored very little. So we envision multiple assets. Those 21 landings is to deploy many types of assets in different areas where we have objectives for science, or we think it's a good place to develop the moon base. We're going to have landers, small and medium class. We're going to have constellations of satellites that will enable communication, navigation, pointing, observation. We're going to have rovers and LTVs, and also we're going to have drones. So, to talk about all of those assets, we're ready to make the first major award.
This guy loves his job. I love it.
Something we advertised during Ignition Day is for the LTV delivery landers. Through CLIPS program, we requested task plans for delivery of one or multiple 1 metric ton class NASA payloads to the South Pole region. In the base period of that task order, we'll basically ask the vendors to finalize the mission design, integrate and develop the integration plans, execute long lead hardware procurements, design and test the payloads, and demonstrate the compliance of the payload delivery system to the surface. Then in subsequent options, if everything goes well, they will build the lander spacecraft. So, the long-awaited moment for the delivery of all the LTV awards that we're going to announce today, NASA has selected
Here we go.
Blue Origin.
Dang. Blue Origin is lining up these moon missions. That's a lot of good work for this lander and rocket system.
All right, give everybody a round of applause to Blue Origin. Congratulations. Blue Origin's lunar lander product line has 2 variants. Mark 1, which is the uncrewed version, is what we're going to be using for the delivery of the LTVs, and Mark 2, which is the crew lander mission. So using Mark 1s will also reduce the risk for future crewed missions there. Mark 1 is the same type of vehicle as Endurance, which is featured in Moonbase 1, the first mission to the lunar surface. Mark 1 type of spacecraft is also going to deliver the Viper rover later in the fall of 2027. So congratulations, Blue Origin, and we are looking forward to this partnership to deliver the first lunar terrain vehicle as part of Moonbase program. Thank you very much and congratulations. So now we get into the awards for the lunar terrain vehicles. In this case, we're going to award 2 of them.
Oh.
As the lunar roving vehicle during the Apollo program, the LTV will give astronauts the ability to further conduct scientific research around the moon. But it's going to do a lot more than that, because in this case, we need it to work all year round. We need them to be on the surface doing things that basically prospect the surface, scope around to potential landing sites, or go to areas of deep scientific objectives. So the LTVs we're going to announce today are both crewed and autonomous rovers. They're a mix between the Apollo lunar roving vehicle and a Mars-style rover. The LTVs will have a mass of about 1 metric ton, or a little bit less than that, and will have to be in a configuration that is kind of compressed to be able to fit on those landers. Each one of the vendors is going to do that in a different, ingenious way. They're designed to traverse about 200 kilometers from where they're dropped off, which is 4 times greater than any rover has ever traveled on the moon or Mars. They can be telerobotically operated by people on the ground. They can work autonomously. And of course, when we have human crewed missions, they'll be driven by the humans. These things can go up to 10 kilometers per hour and go up and down slopes of like 20 degrees. So I'm going to get ready to announce the first LTV award winner, and that is Astrolab.
Hey.
Congratulations.
Congrats. Oh, interesting that Blue Origin is also using like a crane elevator technique with their lander. Oh, we're back. What up, Andrew? So, looks like we just had a computer problem, but we may or may not be back up and running.
Astrolab has adapted its Flex rover architecture to deploy the Crew Lunar Vehicle #1. So give him a round of applause. Congratulations.
Yeah, the independent suspension.
This new vehicle is smaller, lighter, and can accommodate up to 2 crew, which is what we asked for during Ignition Day, to be able to test and develop the capabilities as we go. Again, it has autonomous capabilities. It can be teleoperated, or of course the crew will drive it.
I like it.
CLV-1 has a maximum mass of 950 kilograms and can reach speeds up to 10 kilometers per hour. Astrolab is also building the Flip rover, which has a lot of the features that will then be carried over to the Lunar Terrain vehicle. Astrolab is using subs like Odyssey Space Research, Axiom Space, and Interloon as the subcontractors for that. So imagine the first rover, because we're going to have cameras, we're going to have payloads, roving around Mars and basically bringing us with them in real life, going to places we have never seen of the moon, testing out and giving us key ground truth data so we can build on that. Again, one round of applause for Astrolab. Congratulations. The second LTV provider, which I'm going to announce now, is Lunar Outpost.
Oh, okay, Lunar Outpost. Wow, that's a lot of movement.
In response to NASA's moon-based initiative, Lunar Outpost unveiled a new class of rover called Pegasus, which is what we're going to deliver to the surface.
It's a great name.
Pegasus is a pared-down version of Lunar Outpost Eagle lunar terrain vehicle. Pegasus is a lighter weight and will be ready to fly on earlier missions as we've asked and demanded. They will do things like autonomous driving, terrain mapping, and identify future potential moon base sites. Pegasus can carry up to 2 crew members and travel 10 kilometers per hour on the lunar surface and, like I said, go through steep slopes and terrains.
Cool.
They're partnering with
it's kind of cool with the wings.
General Motors, Leidos, and Goodyear as key subcontractors.
Even though they're
for the
solar
vendors.
panels.
So give Lunar Outpost a round of applause. Congratulations. These awards are incredibly important to the next steps of phase 1 because we have to be able to move around the surface and start looking and gaining the knowledge we need to build up on the moon base. Part of that also is Moonfall, which is the lunar drones that we advertised during Ignition Day. Moonfall is the first lunar drone
like
capability
hoppers
that we're going to have, and it's going to accomplish different objectives.
Drone
the first
hoppers.
is demonstrate the technology. It is going to be the first robotic mobile platform with the range to quickly explore sites interesting at the lunar South Pole. Like the administrator discussed earlier, the variances in lighting, thermal gradients are gigantic on the lunar surface. And we basically have a range of like 1 meter dedicated information on the different areas we want to go to. So in that 1 meter, if we're wrong or if we're off a little bit, those ranges of 400-500 degrees in temperature can be a key aspect that we need to overcome. So these drones will allow us to go, cover a broader range of areas that we unprospect and get background truth. It can demonstrate the ability to take off and land in multiple locations with precision under South Pole lighting conditions and terrain features. Also, it will utilize available electronics so we can develop them quickly and deploy them where we need. One of the key things that we want to put on these drones is survive the night technology. So not only can they accomplish the mission, they can hop, go to multiple locations, but they can also survive the long lunar nights.
Does that mean nuclear?
When they get sun again, they can serve a permanent objective wherever they ended up at. It could be observation, it could be communications or something else. Another key objective is site characterization. So we'll be able to map the surface at centimeter scale resolution, not meter, centimeter scale resolution, allowing us to beef up our orbital databases and reducing the risk for future landings. It will prospect for water and ice in the subsurface of the moon. It can go look into the surface of the moon about 1 meter in depth across tens of kilometers. It will also characterize the radiation environment before we send other assets or crews to the surface and provide a geodetic framework for navigation using retroreflectors. Whatever we put these drones, it will provide much more of a capability for precision landing for whatever landing is coming into that area. And then we'll have cameras, of course, on all of them and be able to observe around the territory.
That'll be cool.
The next objective is imaging. So in the picture that you see on the screen, you have the current capability on the right and what we're going to provide on the left. So high-resolution imagery across all mission phases, including the deployment, the landing, and nominal operations.
That's awesome.
Staying in situ or hopping around. It will continue image collection during extended mission, and it will analyze the different sites for unprecedented detail and basically allowing us to build our understanding of soil mechanics, the terrain, the lighting conditions in situ of wherever we want to go. It will help us build a digital terrain map of different landing sites on the moon and prospect moon-based sites. So all of those things are going to be critical for continuing understanding of where we're going. The last part I wanted to talk about that we're hoping to achieve is to establish a moon-based perimeter. With 4 or 3 lunar drones, Moonfall, we're going to be able to basically put them at the corners of the areas where we think we have either key scientific objectives or we want to build up the moon base. And maybe in their final hope, like I said earlier, we can give them a function, potentially be a beacon, provide those retroreflectors to be able to get a more precise landing, even be the first lunar cell tower if we choose to do so. By coupling the survive the night technology with different instruments and of course cameras for observation, it'll give us a tremendous capability. And like I said, for phase 1, Moonbase is just a demonstration of capability. We hope this will work out and we'll be able to evolve that capability. I'm picturing the future of Moonbase where we're starting to plan areas where we're going to send the crews or rovers to robotically go to a specific crater or area of interest. We can deploy these drones. Some areas we can even reach with lunar terrain vehicles or rovers. So this will be a critical capability to allow us to get to those objectives. So something has to take the lunar drones, Moonfall, to the surface of the moon. And today we're ready to announce that JPL, our partner developing the Moonfall drones, has selected a carrier spacecraft, and that is Firefly.
Hey, whoa! Let's go. The only successful U.S. lander. Firefly, baby. This is the video from that landing.
All right, congratulations. Big round of applause for
Huge.
Firefly. So Firefly is going to build a version of its Elytra dark orbital vehicle for this mission. Firefly's first vehicle is built on the same systems that successfully landed and gave us that mind-blowing video of reaching the surface of the moon. That was the CLIPS Blue Ghost mission that flew and successfully landed last year. They're working with JPL on the part of the mission called Cruise, Deorbit, and Break-in Stage. So the Elytra vehicle will basically carry the drums from Earth into lunar orbit, then slow down, and at a certain altitude, it will deploy 4 or 3 drones that will then take the mission on their own hands. They'll finalize the landing. They'll land probably about a mile apart from each other and carry on from the mission there. This is a very exciting mission that you can see a picture of the carrier vehicle there. We can't wait to get started and actually see these things deployed. Congratulations, Firefly, and glad to partner with you guys on this. All right, so we're done with the award announcement, so a big round of applause for all of you.
With some contractors sitting there that didn't get awards.
Now gets the hard part, which is delivering on time and having successful missions back to back. Okay, now I want to talk about what is on the lunar horizon. So the first one I want to talk about is CLIPS 1.0. During Ignition Day, basically we said we're going to use the CLIPS construct, which was doing scientific commercial service payload delivery to the surface, to continue on and provide the landers that will carry our assets to the surface. And we declared 2 things. We were going to contract for the LTV delivery service, which we just announced, and we were going to also expand the number of missions to carry payloads, whether scientific or technology demonstrations. Those announcements are coming back and coming up in June. So stand by for that, and we're going to declare the award winners for several of those missions to add to the Moonbase portfolio. We're also working on additional task orders for low and mid-sized class landers through 1.0 to potentially deliver additional technology demonstration payloads. So all of that is also coming up soon. And then in Ignition Day, we talked about CLIPS 2.0. So 2.0 is really the next generation lunar cargo landers.
The 2.0 hurts me.
We are accepting proposals to that June 30th, and early in the fall or even late in the summer of 2026, we'll announce the companies that are eligible to participate on that.
I'm going to be checking that out.
A very quick turnaround between making those vendors eligible to when we start contracting those missions. CLIPS 2.0 is built on the successes of CLIPS 1.0, but we're giving ourselves more flexibility. There's going to be ability to do tax orders on end-to-end service. There's going to be ability to basically just buy a lander and be able to couple that with launch service and also technology demonstration payloads, which we may procure or build on our own.
Whoa, that's great for NASA.
Of all of those missions in-house. Again, full end-to-end service, in-house, or a combination of. And we're going to be using that and advertising providers eligible and missions through CLIPS 2.0 with the next generation landers pretty soon in the next coming months. And then one of the things that we were wanting to do pretty fast is basically establish the architecture, set the priorities for the technology that we're going to need in phase 2, and then map that to the tech demonstrations that we need to do in phase 1, all these landers we're just talking about. We've narrowed the field of things that we're interested. There's many things that we need to perform, including survive the night and all of those things, but we really want to focus on developing the mid-size cargo delivery. This is going to be accomplished through CLIPS 2.0. Initial power infrastructure. We're talking about solar and potentially nuclear, also smaller components for surviving the night. We're looking at 2 to 15 kilowatts of power generation, up to 20 kilowatts potentially if it's a nuclear system, and hundreds of kilowatt hours of storage capacity. We're also wanting to explore initial cargo mobility and logistics, which is going to be a huge key element of permanent habitation, and then Pathfinder habitation missions. We have 2 BAAs today across the agency, not just Moonbase, which are soliciting ideas, and we'll be using those to take proposals, not for studies, but actually building hardware. The study is going to be put the thing on the surface. test it out, learn from it, and then actually graduate that to be a permanent part of the architecture. So that work is going on.
Ooh, that's
now.
fascinating.
Okay, that was a lot. So this wraps up the first moon base status, where in just 2 months we've covered awards for new landers,
Q&A is
lunar
going to be
vehicles,
on fire.
and moonfall carrier spacecraft. Soon we will be statusing progress on the additional landers. Like I said, we'll also be going to be talking about international partner contribution agreements, which we're actively working on. Awards for technology demonstration missions, and the selected companies to build the next generation landers. As Artemis 2 showed us, literally, we're just a tiny body in this universe. But we're in the business of expanding our horizons, doing the near impossible, building the moon base. We're making history together. Thank you very much.
Today in Space.